Right, today I'm going to be covering V.E. Day. So I'm going to do my own little homage. I'm going to visit some of the houses they lived in. I'm going to cover the RAF, the Navy, the Army and the Home Guard. Men and women that gave their lives, I'm going to honour them today. I'm up at the monument, as you can see. The first one I want to quickly tell you about is a relative of my own. So John Bedard, or Jack Bedard as he was better known to his friends, died in Burma, in Thailand, building that horrible railway. He died of cholera along with 200 other men of his regiment, and he's on this monument. Today I'm going to be visiting the houses of some of these heroes. I can't cover them all, I wish I could, but I'm going to be covering the homes of some of them and telling a little bit of their story. So stick with it, guys, as today we look into the Brierley Hill heroes. Right folks, we're at the first house, today's memorial walk and talk. 106 was number 2 Wallows Road. Here the Andrews family lived. Now the Andrews family, just like Saving Private Ryan, they gave a hell of a lot. The mom lost 3 sons in all, very sad, and another one took prisoner at Dunkirk. 2 of the sons died at sea, and one of them, George, died in Tunisia fighting. Such brave lads. George was 31 years old and he was a promising footballer. He played for Lichfield Wednesday. And there he was, no doubt. He passed that threshold on the way to go and serve, the boys did, and the mom was expecting him to come home. None of them come home. All 3 were killed. The 4th one did come home, I imagine, after being held prisoner of war. Which, can you imagine the sorrow that woman went through? That's what this day is all about for me this weekend. It's not just rejoicing the victory, it's what's looking at what that victory cost. It cost that family there during World War II, 3 sons, 3 sons, 3 boys. The next house on this journey of remembrance is here, not far from the Andrews brothers, Leonard Hutton. Leonard Hutton sadly died today in 1945. So a day before V.E. Day victory in Europe was declared, this gentleman died 7th of the 5th, 1945. This very day, 80 years ago, he died. So sad. The mum was expecting the son to come home, 24 years old, just a boy. Again, gave his life for your freedom, for my freedom. So we must remember him. 24, Wallows Road, they lived there. God rest in peace. I'm at 71 Wallows Road. Behind me, a gentleman lived called Frank Burns. Now Frank Burns was in the Green Howards, and on D-Day, that day when the men of this country went over to Germany to fight a war, he was one of the first in. So the beach he went on was called Gold. His actual section was called King, and it was called King or Green King Beach. He went on that beach that day. He was the first wave in. You can imagine the lid dropped. Suddenly, bullets flying everywhere. The commanders knew there were going to be losses that day. They had to get on the beach, they had to get a beachhead, they had to get some foothold in Germany to push the Nazis back. But on that day, he was the first on the beach. One of the gentlemen in his regiment, Mr. Hollis, Colour Sergeant Hollis, actually won the VC. The only VC that day. Black countryman, a hard black countryman, fought his way onto the beach that day, but sadly was shot on the beaches. He didn't get any further, but his bravery and his men's bravery got them into the town where they needed to be that night. So if it wasn't for men like Frank Burns, we wouldn't have won D-Day, we wouldn't have won the war, we wouldn't have got that foothold, and the war would have dragged on. Anybody that died especially and served, they gave their life for our freedoms, and that includes Sikh troops, colonial troops, it's all of them. But I'm talking about the black country today. And there you go, Frank Burns, 71 Wallows Road, a hero, thank you for your service. D-Day landings. Dennis Johnson, was a pilot, and at the time of his death he was over Germany. He took off from an airport somewhere in the south coast, Little Staunton I believe, and he flew to Germany on a bombing raid to take out a gun. But unfortunately he was taken out. He was a alien Charlie, so he basically had the gun at the back of the Lancaster Avro, Lancaster bomber. What's strange about that is there was also, as we know, a plane crashed down there, and I believe that was a Lancaster. So here we are in Adelaide Street again, following in the footsteps of these great men that died in the Second World War, and we're trying to remember them over today and the weekend, V.E. Day. So to speak a man's name, Dennis Johnson, for that moment, for that brief second, he's alive again. He's with us in the room on this day, on this weekend, where we're celebrating the victory in Europe. We're celebrating the greatness of the country, Great Britain. and men like that made it great. Right folks, I said I'd try and do them all. So here is a house, 21 Potter Street. Now it's gone, and you've got some modern houses. But a man lived here called Daniel Tenant. Now Daniel Tenant was getting on when the war started, but he still wanted to serve, so he joined the Home Guard. He worked at Brierley Hill. I know we laugh at the Home Guard and we see it as a joke, and it is a funny programme, but it was a deadly serious thing when it first started. They might have started with picks, but they ended up with lethal ammunition. And Daniel Tenant, sadly, whilst training, waiting for the invasion fleet was there waiting over the channel. They had already took France. He was waiting, barges were ready, Operation Sea Lion. Britain was braced for an attack. Dunkirk had just devastated the army. So the men of the country were rallying. Daniel Tenant lived here and he died training to protect this land that is so great and that we love today. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that, folks. We saw army, we saw Home Guard. I mean, imagine that woman losing all those boys. Let's see if we can see the boys. Let's see if we can see the Andrews family. And when I saw 3 names, I thought they must be different people. And then to find out they all lost from the same family, it was just heartbreaking to read. They'll be on this one. That's World War I. This is World War II. So, and some from the later wars. Here we go. So there we go. There, Andrews. George would have been a famous footballer. He was a famous footballer, you know. Thomas and Sydney. Sydney again died at sea, but Thomas was a stoker in the Royal Navy, and he was lost at sea as well. So probably in the merchant fleet, all gave sufficiently, you know, all put their lives on the line for this country. And victory in Europe is only possible because of what these men did, you know, because of what these men did. So I hope today you've enjoyed it. Get out yourself with the families if you can. There's some of these men didn't have family. Research them, find them. There's a book of remembrance in the church. It's a beautiful book. All these names from World War II and World War I are there, I believe. Well gilded, beautiful, amazing book. Go and see it, read it, find people, and then engage, you know, find out their names, find out where they lived, find out how they passed away, how they died protecting this country, you know. And in doing so, they're not forgotten. Thank you, all you heroes that gave, you know. I've served my 7 years, but luckily I'm here, I'm alive. You know, I've got 6 friends that didn't make it out alive. They gave their life for our freedoms, the sort of freedoms I see being dishonoured. I mean, freedom's a funny one, isn't it? You give somebody the freedom of speech, that also gives them the freedom to throw paint on monuments and desecrate graves. They will get punished, but it's that freedom, they have to do that. But, you know, the freedom these people died for, do not disrespect that freedom. You know, use it rightfully. Because other places, if the Germans had won that war, they would not allow you to throw paint on a monument. You would end up in a concentration camp. It's just that simple. You know, we have got this freedom, and it's so important that we understand that we must be responsible with it. Children today need to learn a bit more. Not all of children, I know some are very respectful, but we need to teach it in schools. I'd like to see cadets up here actually on guard certain days of the week, maybe on Sundays, actually on guard, only an hour stint maybe. Bit of respect, so when people come past they can see this monument being guarded respectfully as it should. Right, see you soon folks, thanks for watching.